Hey there. Welcome to Her Truth Revealed, Unraveling Our Midlife Era. I'm your host, Wonderful Morrison. This space is for the woman who's done pretending, done hiding, and ready to step fully into her truth. Midlife isn't about fading into the background. It's a time where resilience lights the way and authenticity becomes the loudest voice in the room. In this season of our lives, we are more than just survivors. We are creators, revolutionaries, and unapologetic women rewriting the rules. I've been through my battles, rebuilding from loss, betrayal, and heartache. But here's the truth. Every challenge, every tear, and every setback has led me to this moment of profound transformation. Together, we're going to dive into raw, real conversations that shatter stereotypes, tackle the tough stuff, and embrace the powerful magic that is midlife. So, if you're ready to live this chapter with boldness and joy, hit subscribe. Share this episode with someone who needs to hear it and leave a review so we can keep this revolution going. Ladies, no more masks, no more apologies, just the truth of who we are. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to another episode of Her Truth Revealed, Unraveling Our Midlife Era, where we have conversations with some of the most amazing women in existence today, chatting it up about midlife. And today I have a super special guest. Tracy is one of the most well-known event specialists in the Seattle area. And she's the owner of Epiphany Events. But most importantly, she has been on this journey of truly unraveling midlife through her own personal experience. And she has created an event that's happening here in Seattle called Midlife Symposium, which I believe is going to just be the very first steps to something amazing. Because guess what? There's 83 million of us in the US currently right now that is going through this transitional place in our current life called midlife. So without further ado, welcome, Tracy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Wonderful. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited because I know I've been following you online and you started this midlife chat about your own personal experience. I'd say like maybe 2 years ago, right? Is when we
Yeah.
started talking. So what brought about this midlife symposium? Like what truly happened in the journey that was like, it's time.
Yeah. Symposium is called Midlife Medicine Symposium, just FYI there. So menopause is what brought it about. And that started, lucky me, right around the same time as the pandemic.
Mm.
That meant that I couldn't see a doctor for at least that year of 2020, right? Then I moved back to this little town in Western New York to hang out with my aging parents who have now turned 94. Yeah, it's very different it's a city of like 16,000. So it's very interesting being in and around rural medicine, which there's a lot of talk about that these days because of like cuts to Medicaid and Medicare and everything. And the fact that some of these rural hospitals might be closing down because of that. But it's just, I hate to say it, but the quality of care is much different here. And the expertise or knowledge or lack thereof of the medical practitioners here is, not as good as Seattle. So when I first came here, I had to find a doctor, right? So I went to the same doctor that my 92-year-old mom was going to. And I said, went in and I said, I think we should, test my hormone levels to see where they're at. And she's like, well, that's just life, meaning menopause is just life. And she pretty much she didn't, that was what she said. And
Mhm.
I didn't have the strength or the wherewithal or really the knowledge to push back and say, no, I want you to order the labs. So
Mm.
I went to her for another year, really didn't do anything. Well, then I went to my OBGYN gynecologist and I did ask her to do it. And she said, keep in mind, these are both women.
Mhm.
either gone through menopause themselves or who are going to go through. And she said, well, they're going to be low, meaning my hormone levels are going to be low because I'm a or I'm a menopausal woman, 55, 56. And so she did order the labs though. And, it's just been a journey just getting on HRT, which stands for hormone replacement therapy. And now it's been an even larger journey getting on testosterone. We can talk about that. And just the lack of FDA approved care for women. It just highlights the sexism and the misogyny and the patriarchy in healthcare and in health research on women's issues, particularly menopause.
Yes. Well, I mean, thousands of years. Let me just start here. The dawn of freaking time, women have been going through this. And it's so fascinating how little still we are in the 21st, it's 2025. We've already had a pandemic. I mean, we've gone through a ton of history. And yet there's this tiny sliver of documented anything when it
Yeah.
comes to women's menopause. And it's so fascinating to me. One of my dearest friends just texted me this morning going, "Oh my God, I finally found a doctor after 2 years." Right? She
Oh
moved
my God. Why? We're 51% of the US
83 million deep. That's one in four
Medical
women.
doctors. Yeah, so MDs get about I've heard anywhere from 2 hours to 8 hours of training in medical school on menopause.
Yeah. It's shocking.
I mean, and our sex hormones, males' sex hormones, I mean, it is everything. Men go through a type of menopause, when their testosterone levels go down, so they need to be looking at that too. But men have 30 different approved I know, like I guess I'm not a doctor, right? So I don't wanna say the wrong words, but like protocols, I guess you would call it, for
Yeah.
being able to receive testosterone. Women,
Yeah.
we have none, like
Right.
0.
Yeah.
They can if they have a certain type of doctors have a certain kind of license, they can prescribe it, and then it's always for, like, because you have no sex drive. So how disgusting is it that we can only get it if we wanna have sex? If we don't wanna
Well, and here's the other thing that I think we need to clarify too is so when you hear the word when I first heard it from a woman who I've interviewed so many practitioners on here that left their, gyno practice to because they can't give the same advice and women who've just been trained in this field and it's still not enough conversation when I first heard testosterone, I was like, whoa. Immediately, you know what I think? It's like, oh, I'm going to be an IFBB pro, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And really, it's not. I think we need to demystify testosterone. So, based on your experience, why do we need testosterone as women in our midlife? And what is it? What does it serve us? Because we
well,
not only think of it.
we have as girls, from puberty, we have testosterone throughout our entire lives. It starts
Mhm.
diminishing, I think, at around 30. And at some point in our lives, at many points in our lives, actually, we have more testosterone than we have estrogen in our bodies. That doesn't mean we have as much as a man, this man, but we have more testosterone than we have estrogen. And what's interesting, so about testosterone is considered kind of like it's amazing to me. And then when you look at like the genders and gender disparity and everything, testosterone is kind of looked at as the confident hormone. So it's what,
Interesting. I'm writing that down.
yeah, it is what, fuels our sexual libido, right? Or lack thereof. But also it's what gives us, self-confidence and motivation. And if you don't have it, you can tend to be kind of depressive. The amount of women that are misprescribed and that are on antidepressants
That.
rather than checking their estrogen and testosterone levels is shocking. So if you're depressed, ladies, which I'm right out there too, so check your hormones. And so we need it for I mean, I would still at some point in time, even though it's been a little while, I would like to have sex again sometime. I would like to be interested in it. I would like to get up and wake up and feel motivated and
Mhm.
to be able to take charge of my day and to have, be self-confident every day. And some of that is situational, some of that is not. So it's something that we do need. as women.
Yeah.
Men just need it in much higher amounts than women need it.
And it's interesting because I feel like when I was growing up, I recall a lot of older women. At the time, I thought got a lot of antidepressant pills, but it was also super hush hush, like you can't be the crazy one or all the things, right? And then when I was talking to a doctor, she was saying, what's very interesting? So she left her 30-year gyno practice with a hospital to have her own practice to help specifically in this arena. And she said two shocking things. There's so many times that she had to prescribe hysterectomy when actually that might not have been the right answer. But they called it in the hospital as like the easy way out type of thing, right? And then the second thing that she said that was really shocking is how many women have been prescribed antidepressant when really she spends 2 hours like interviewing her clients, because what happens in our midlife is situational and hormonal seems to happen at the same freaking time.
Yeah. You have teenagers. Many women have teenagers, and many women have aging parents, dying
Mhm.
parents at the same time. You might have a spouse. You might still have a job.
Yeah.
I
Or,
mean,
or pandemic that time. And it just escalates into other things.
yeah.
Okay.
And when I think about it, I think about my mother. She was probably about 55, and I was an awful teenager. And she was going through menopause. And so, also, the big thing that women need to be aware of is there was a study done in early 2000. I'm sure some of your past practitioners have talked to you about this. It's called the Women's Health Initiative for
Hmm.
that study.
I've heard of it, but I
So,
looked into it.
it is what scared everybody off of HRT or hormone replacement.
Yes. Yes.
And so, like, there was women that would be like our mother's ages, maybe
Mm.
some listeners, their grandmother's ages, and they might have been on HRT and they were just systematically all taken off it because it's going to cause breast cancer. And just until recently, until the it girls of menopause, which I refer to them as Dr. Mary Claire Haver, Dr. Kelly Casperson, Onda Wright, like there's many of them, thank God, that are talking about it and gaining traction, have, shown us that that was a very, very flawed study. And it was the median age of the women in that study was 63. And our likelihood of getting breast cancer actually increases with age. And the type of estrogen that was in that study that the women were using was completely different synthetic. And
Mm.
I don't want to say it because I'm going to say it incorrectly. It might even have been the one that was made from pregnant horses. So it's
Yes.
fine.
Yes. I think both of them are, because I had a doctor who had given us information on that. And I remember thinking when my mom was dying of cancer, breast cancer, I remember her telling me, don't listen. Don't
Oh,
listen. Because she was a pharmacist
great. Okay.
behind the scenes. I remember her telling me that antibiotics are actually worse than HRT for
So
that.
And people have reactions to antibiotics every day, but we don't stop prescribing antibiotics. So the thing with so think about it. If estrogen caused breast cancer, I'm not saying that, so there are breast cancers that are estrogen dominant that women have to take estrogen blockers for. But my understanding is what happens is that those cancerous cells are already present and estrogen can, but if estrogen caused breast cancer, then every teenage girl, think about it, would have breast cancer when you're at the peak of your estrogen,
Yeah.
right? And that's not what happened. And so, there's so many women that are still so scared. And there's practitioners, there's MDs that are saying, like, this literally happened to my girlfriend. Her mother and her grandmother did have had breast cancer. And my girlfriend, like, she's a strong woman in every sense of that word. She's crying all the time. She's depressed. She's raising a teenager. She's and that's not who she is. That's not normally how she is. And she said she spoke to her gyno and she's like, nope, no HRT. It causes breast cancer.
Wow. Wait, and is this doctor, I mean, does it matter, male or female?
Female.
That's so crazy.
Female, and she's
No.
in her 60s, and she's already gone through it. And there's a certain amount of, like, too, I think if you talk to women, so I'm 60, so maybe 65 plus, 70 plus, they think they feel, and they had to grin and bear it. Like, they had to, like,
Yeah.
get through it. Why? Why do we have to
Yeah.
suffer when we don't have to, when we know better now?
Exactly. Exactly. I knew something was up. And you know what's interesting is one of the doctors I had on the interview, she said that when a woman comes in based on her age and her current experience emotionally and life experiences, she can always tell like, oh, you're about to get there. The perimenopause starts earlier than we think. And when she said that, I'd say about 38 is about where the menopause, and she goes, and the women I get into my office that are like their last straw was they had to their choices were get a hysterectomy or antidepressant or something like that. When they come in, they're within the age of like 42 to 48. And my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer at 48. And she had a double mastectomy. I mean, she went through chemo rounds and all of the things, right? Now I look back and I think, was that really the smart? I mean, that was the 80s. It was the late 80s. So you got to think about it. I mean, doctors still smoked in the office back then. So let's just put that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we know kind of all of these things, right? Like you said, there's been a lot of doctors, thank goodness, that's been out there just talking it up. Mary Claire was my very first book that I read because I started feeling something different. And I'm like, and none of my friends seemed to know what was going on. I'm going, huh? You're 3 years older than me. It was women in like that I met through you that really started talking about it in a way I was like, "Huh, I'm gonna look into this." And then I got on HRT and then,
Good.
it wasn't like this quick like turnaround of like, "Wow, life is amazing." No, no, no. Let's
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
super honest here. I still love hermiting. I almost thought something was wrong with me. I was like, God, why don't I want to go anywhere? Why do I did like I'll comb my hair, don't get it twisted, but going outside,
Yeah.
I'm not even feeling it. Like it takes.
Have you followed the woman on, I think she's on Instagram. She's like, she has the I Don't Care Club.
Oh God, I every day.
Love her.
I
Yeah,
know.
right?
It's like my favorite one is just like, we do not care. We're putting the world on notice.
Yeah.
We do not care if you invite us to Tahiti, to Bali for our family reunion. If it's too hot and it takes too long, I'm not going. I'm like, that's me. It's me.
Yeah. Well,
Like
just imagine if the whole world of women felt better.
just for being in it the way that they exist, because every person too is totally different.
Yeah.
Like a girlfriend who she kept swelling up. Like her legs, everything. And she kept going to the doctor. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. And finally I said, hey, why don't you ask him if it's about your hormones? You're 52 years old. Like I'm feeling like that's where it might be. Holy crap. It was, right? And now she's doing better, but she was given so she was on antidepressant for a couple of years, right? They told her she might have to go see a psychiatrist. I mean, not that you don't need any of those things, but
Yeah. No, I'm all for
yeah.
antidepressants if you have a chemical imbalance that's making you depressed. But if you have a hormonal imbalance that's affecting that, like, and why isn't it just first or one of the first things that MDs, our GPs, and our gynos think about? Why don't we look at your hormones? Not like
Mm.
really tired of the belittling, the dismissing of women and our symptoms. I think if my body's swelling up, I think I know if my body's swelling up. Don't tell me, "Oh, it's nothing," and send
Yeah.
me away, you know? Yeah, yeah, I kinda started sharing my journey and what I was using because quite honestly, and I've said this before, I'm not ashamed to talk about it, but some women start having painful sex. That's the only way I knew that I was in menopause because I was on the IUD, which now I'm learning about hormones associated with birth control, right? But I was on the IUD and it was kinda like smooth sailing it through that, and then that's when I figured out. So the whole thing too about estrogen is we need estrogen down below, and if you're taking estradiol inside your vagina, it's not getting to your whole body. It's literally
Mm.
localized there. So that's helped there with atrophy, with less painful sex, with all that. But it also helps with like staving off UTIs. And, you hear about these
Mhm.
like pelvic issues and urinating
Yes.
vaginally, all these things.
30s. I was like, "Why am I peeing myself? Like, what's wrong? What is the deal?" And it's not the whole I'm coughing, I'm
Yeah.
peeing myself laughing. No, it's like I'm legitimately peeing
Yeah.
myself, and
Yeah.
I need to know why. And I went to a pelvic floor person, the whole thing, never associating it with that
Mhm.
I was hormonal. And I just want to advocate for the fact that a lot of the symptoms we think are like, well, maybe my hair is falling out because I got COVID. Maybe I lost my muscle because I haven't used it.
Mm.
No, no, no. I am so convinced now that so many of those symptoms that I thought were just associated to I need to do more, I need to get on better something was
Mhm.
associated to hormones. And I'm so grateful that I advocate for myself. Like I just kept
Yeah.
going to a doctor until somebody was like, okay, fine, I'll shut you up and shove HRT in your possession kind of thing. So tell me about why this Midlife Medicine Symposium came about, because one of the things that I want to let the audience know is Tracy in our area of part of the world, our corner of the world over here in Washington State, Seattle tri state area. She's really well known for putting together gatherings of humans, right? Anything. And a lot of them have been a lot of fun things like Sex in the City get togethers, Bridgerton. Oh my gosh, amazing fun. Women's socials and things that really allow us to hang out with each other, get dolled up, have the whole and then you busted out this midlife medicine. I was like, "Oh, what's this about? Let's hear this." Like, where did that why now and who are you putting on the panel in terms of how we're gonna get information or what it's about? Tell us.
Why now is, I mean, selfishly, it's because I've gone through it and I'm still going through it. I'm still suffering fatigue, muscle loss. I'm not lifting, which every day I tell myself I'm going to. So that's on me. I did start taking a GLP-1, tirzepatide. It's really changed my life and so many others' lives of my friends who are on it. Talking to girlfriends who are on, I don't know if you've heard of pellet therapy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. My
That's a,
sister-in-law started it years
yeah.
ago when
Yeah.
she hit 50, and you couldn't find it anywhere at the time. I remember she had to go to some doctor an hour away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's becoming much more mainstream, although there's a lot of, there's 2 sides to that too,
Yeah.
some, because that's not FDA approved either, right? Yeah, so
Yes.
but every girlfriend that I have know who's on there since I started putting up this midlife medicine event, I have women DMing me, "I'm on pellets. Oh my god, I feel so great." But what spurred this on is that it was a different friend. It was a Facebook friend's post, and she was talking about her, estrogen patch. So I don't know if you're an HRT. So I have an estrogen patch that I change out once a week. That's how I get my estradiol. That's how I get my estrogen.
Pill and cream form.
Oh, okay. Okay. I do the progesterone pill and then I do the estrogen patch.
Mm.
So she was talking about the estrogen patch and how it does leave like a little circle of all the, sticky gummy stuff from the patch, right? And she just
Uh-huh.
happened to be like, "Do you guys have any ideas?" And just the comments on there, women who didn't know what HRT was, like they didn't know what HRT stood for. One woman who said, "Well, I'm getting estrogen. I'm, putting it in my vagina and so I'm getting estrogen in my body." That's incorrect. That's localized to women who knew everything, who knew a lot and who had done a lot of research. There was just so much like misinformation or no information. And I was like, screw it. I'm going to do an event. What do I do best? I want to create an event.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to create was an event that featured local providers who you can then go to. There's a lot of telemedicine. I do like telemedicine as well because it does give access to healthcare to humans, to women in this case, who might not have a great gyno or MD or ND in their area who knows anything about women and hormones and so on and so forth. So you have to go the telemedicine route. But I really think that, I mean, I like to be able to talk to an expert and see them and go to them. And I wanted to also help, these doctors and such
Mhm.
here that are in our own backyard, right? So why are
Yeah.
we keeping doctors on telemedicine out of, I don't know, Kentucky rather than,
Yeah. Arizona.
yeah, right? Rather than buy from and patron our friends, family, neighbors. And I want women to have this information because then there's almost like too much information. It's like, well,
Right.
do I do estrogen pill? Because you could take estrogen in pill form, in patch
Mhm.
form, or in cream. Which
Mhm.
is better? They all have different efficacy. Testosterone, where do I get it? My GP won't give it to me. So how do I get it? But then there's a lot of other things too. So midlife is funny because I am not in midlife at 60, but that's kind of where they throw us all. Like the
Yes.
occurs is midlife. So midlife is like pretty much what, 40 plus, right?
Yeah.
And so now I'm looking at, the losing the weight, and I had a hip replacement in December. I
That's
didn't
right.
never had a problem until I had a problem. So osteoporosis, osteopenia comes around because of our hormones and estrogen and testosterone being low. So I want my younger friends and acquaintances to know about these things in their 30s and 40s and to be prepared for it. I want women who are older than me, they can still get on HRT if they want to.
Mhm.
Or there's natural remedies perhaps that they could do that make them feel better. I don't want them to be, suffering, or maybe this thing too. So I feel, not even just feel, I know that women, I'm going to say 60 plus, I have a lot of girlfriends in that age. They're not having symptoms. And I feel like menopause, when we
Mm.
think about symptoms, we think of hot flashes and night.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
it.
Right. That's
There
it.
are
That's
30 to
it.
40 other symptoms. And there's things going on in our body and in our brains and our bones and our muscles that we don't see, that we might not feel right now. But you fall at the age of 75, and the stats in terms of the number of women who never get out of the hospital again, who die
Mhm.
from a fractured hip,
Yep. That's what
that
there's lots of studies on the longevity and falling is it correlates, right? The quality of life. And I'm with you on that. I did start lifting. So one of the things I had to emotionally prepare myself for, I was like 49 thinking, "Oh my gosh, the 50s are going to be amazing." Then I turned 50 and it's like, "Holy crap, this hike is a little harder than I ever what happened? Like, how did it overnight?" Well, I didn't one of the things I didn't know that no one talks about is you lose muscle pretty immediately, but you just don't
yeah.
recognize it, right? And I was like, "Why am I breathing so heavy? Like, what is the deal?"
Yes.
It's
And, like,
because my body
trying to open things, you're like,
what the actual F? Like, and then and I had been reading a bunch of things like Mary Claire. I've been following and reading, and they kept talking about strengthening your bones and your muscles, right? Well, I couldn't even live. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to bust out my 2 pounders. And I started following this woman who does this 15-minute menopause workout. She's English. I just do it and with my 2 pounders and girl, that first couple weeks, I was sore and I was beating myself up going, what is wrong with me? I used to lift weights. I used to be all fit. How did it just happen? It wasn't a gradual for me. I didn't see it as a gradual thing. It probably was. I just didn't see it gradual. And I was like, what happened? And then I just stopped beating myself up for like, you know what? My 2 pounds is good enough for now. And that's okay. And then I just went and bought like these 1 pound wrist weights. Cause now walking to me has been my exercise and my 15-minute menopause workout. And it's so interesting because when I started sharing it with, friends that's in my same age group, and older, they were, "That's so cute." And I thought, "What are you doing? Like, tell me what you're doing. Help me out here." And they hadn't even thought about it. They hadn't even thought about, like, why they were, feeling their cardio was, "Oh, it's because I haven't been on my elliptical in so long or my Peloton." And I'm thinking, "My gosh, this is so much more than skinny. This is so
Oh,
much more than
yeah.
fitting into really, truly the longevity of your health.
Yes. Yes. And
That's
it's
what it's
like,
about.
I mean, my parents happen to be 94, but we're living so much longer,
Mhm.
and do you want to live a good 80
Yeah.
years? Do you wanna be
Yeah.
existing? And, like, right now, I'm like, it's just so that I wanna be able to go to the bathroom on my own, I want it
Yes.
it's not even looking sexy so much anymore.
Yeah. Oh,
There is still that too, a little bit, right? But it's just you wanna have a good life, a good healthy life.
yeah.
And so that's what this midlife medicine is about. And it's not just HRT and hormone replacements, although as women of a certain age, hormones or lack thereof does play a vital role. But
Yeah.
also there's 7 different speaker sessions. Another doctor is speaking on peptides. Are you familiar with peptides?
Oh, girlfriend, I'm on them right now. I just
Okay.
started. I just started a week ago
On what?
on peptides because
What?
I kept hearing about it and I was like, what is this about? I am looking for testosterone. So I'm really interested in that conversation in just a minute of where, because when I realized you can't just get it anywhere, I was like, wait, what? And then there's these things where you have to like use needles. And I'm like, is there any other form I can get this in other than a needle? And
Yes.
then, I had a male friend send me the link and I'm thinking, okay, but you gave me no instruction which one. There's a slew of things here. And where is
Oh,
this being made? How do you just send me a link and not tell me nothing? Like, what's the
yeah.
deal?
Well, and since there is no FDA approved protocol for women and testosterone replacement, we have to use men's testosterone, which means we just dose it down. They might use a vial a week. We would use, you know, a vial a month. Just giving
Yeah.
explanation. You have to be careful. So you can get testosterone in cream or in injectables. If you do get a cream, make sure, like, don't put it on with your fingers. Get like a pump, or there's different kinds of delivery mechanisms. And it's recommended that you put it like here and then you rub it. Because
Ah,
you can transfer it to other people and to your pets and to your grandchildren. You have to be very careful. Or you put it
ah,
behind your knees. You want it in an area where your skin is not as thick, I guess, for lack of a better.
yeah,
But you need to make sure that, you're not like, if you hugged your husband, it wouldn't be so big a deal because
right.
he has lot, but your babies, your
Yeah.
animals, and then friends. So when the time does come and you find somebody to help you with that, make sure that you're aware of that.
I'm about to get on it with you when we're
I
done
know, girl.
everything.
Like, I gotta
So,
tell you, and
because I'm like,
women are like with testosterone, like, we're like, "God, what is this, like, crack? Is it meth? Like, why can't we get testosterone?"
yeah.
Like, it's literally in our bodies. We're like, and I had a girlfriend who told her doctor, she goes, "Well, if you don't give it to me, I'm gonna find somebody who will."
Well,
Because you
I
feel
didn't
better.
realize. Yeah. Well, when you said the confident gene, I was like, my God, that makes so much sense. Right. Because I'm telling on myself here. My husband and I went to a marriage therapist years ago, and the therapist said, yeah, there's 1% of women like your wife who has I produced a really high level of
Oh,
testosterone, and so I was always just in this fight mode, and I always had thought like that equaled more masculine like features, and that's not true. I did not know that, because you assume. I mean, I grew up in the '80s where bodybuilders and Gold's Gym.
yeah, yeah,
So when I think testosterone, that's what I
yeah,
see, that's
yeah,
what I think.
I
So
know,
when they told
yeah,
me that, I was like, "Whoa, what's that
yeah,
about? Like, what does that
yeah.
mean?" Like,
Yeah, I bet you there's a certain percentage of women who don't even realize that we make testosterone in our body naturally,
yeah, yeah,
entire lives. Just so too, listening to your podcast, and my mom being 94, like, she's getting, like, little mustache
mhm,
in here, and I'm like, "Mom, you gotta, I'll do it for you. We got it." Well, once you get to a certain age, your body does start making testosterone a little bit, not a ton, but more naturally, because it's trying to keep you alive. So, otherwise, why would 80, 90-year-old women start having these little whiskers on their face?
Oh, that makes so much see, it's a natural evolution, and I read this one thing, and I can't remember what country it is, where they call this time in women's life I can't remember if it was called rebirth, but it's known throughout their culture that when
Mhm.
women get to this certain age, they are considered the
Oh,
wisdom pool
yeah.
that
Well, it's
because they're shedding. They're
yeah.
shedding the old and they're coming into new, so there's this whole kind of respect towards it of
Mhm.
and it's interesting because the more and more I've had these conversations, so many of us midlifers in that age group recall our parents, you know, being told they're crazy. This is when men leave their husbands for a younger version type thing. And it all makes sense now. It all correlates together. Because I remember associating crazy to age.
Yes.
Now
Yeah.
there's more information on that. It is really what you're saying is this hormonal change. So this midlife medicine symposium, how many days is it? How many hours is it?
Yep. Anybody's welcome. It's targeted at women 40 plus, but anybody's welcome to come. I mean, men can come too because they really should understand what's happening to their women's bodies, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, it's from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. on the SPU campus. There's a full day of doctor and expert led speaker sessions. Each session's 20 minutes long with 10 minutes for Q&A. And then we have breaks in between there because then we also have an exhibition hall with an additional 10 to 20 exhibitors, everything from yoga studios to life coach and business coaches to acupuncturists to clinics that are selling peptides to skin and hair rejuvenation to,
Oh,
you name it.
yeah.
Another thing I never knew about was that cold shoulder, frozen shoulder.
Yes.
So we have a woman who does, body alignment and she's bringing her massage table. And so they also, guest attendees have the opportunity to not only speak to doctors and subject matter experts, but also to participate and experience some like mini services, also products that would help us beneficially, both looking and feeling better. What else? Everybody gets a swag bag with a few books on
Of
there.
course.
Yes, and some samples of products. We also have lots of raffles. There's a company called Prenuvo who is
Mm.
as a sponsor. This is very interesting. They do full body MRI scans, but it's like we pay out of pocket. But still, it's a proactive, not preventative and proactive health in our country. They have a clinic in University Village. So
Mm.
one lucky person is going to win that, and that is the equivalent that's worth $2,400.
Wow. Wow. Just
And then
even having that information that you can get
yeah, yeah,
on MRI to
yeah.
yeah, that is and I just wanna share that when my mom passed away from breast cancer, I think I've told this story a few times, but she was the 3rd person in our genetic line. So
Mhm.
I would have been the 4th generation, and when she was passing, it was the time when Angelina Jolie did that big conversation about BRCA1, the BRCA test, and
Yep.
I remember thinking, "I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna
Good,
do that because I
good.
wanna know," and I have 2 daughters, right? And then I have 3 granddaughters, and, what was really fascinating is at the time, what you associate with breast cancer is like what you said, "Oh my gosh, don't breathe the air, don't take HRT, don't do all anything," and when I went in, a few weeks later, it took a long time. It took like almost 2 months to get the information back. Probably not like that anymore. And my doctor, I loved her so much, and she was retiring that year. This little tiny Jewish lady with just an attitude, right? She was just on fire. And she was like, I am pleasantly surprised that you carry no marker to cancer, which is very alarming considering you have 3 generations before you that have passed from some type of cancer through the reproductive system of a woman's body. And, I was like, "Well, what does that mean?" And she goes, "Well, I'm not saying you're not gonna get it, but you just don't have any markers for it."
Yeah.
And she goes, "There's not enough studies done quite yet, but I
Mm,
have a feeling that it's because of the lifestyle you've chosen."
mm.
And she's like,
Because of your diet and exercise and
yeah, and just because my mom was when she was going through her final days, she became more of like a monk style, right? Where she was expressing feelings that she'd never expressed growing up. She'd never, she
oh,
just
she
became a
friend,
different human.
the friend.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I
then
think
I
yep.
find out later on that, breast cancer, what they're finding in this physical response to our body is it's a heart issue. It's like as women's heartbrokenness has not.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah.
had a girlfriend who passed of breast cancer, it would be 3 years ago, and she suffered some really big heart losses. That's very I do feel that stress and those kinds of feelings that you're talking about does I mean, I have no studies to back this up, but I do feel that it can come out as cancer. Yeah.
Yeah. A
I
lot
do.
of those things can express itself through that. And I think that what I love what you're bringing to this Midlife Medicine Symposium is treating women as multidimensional human beings because we're not just one thing. We're not just two things. We're not even just three things. We're a multitude of things that's consistently evolving. No one has just ever given it the time or energy to give a crap about, right? It's like, oh, well, look, they're done having babies. Let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Oh, they're done.
Yeah.
And I just feel like this generation of women, I'd even say 50 and over. I don't think
Mhm.
the 40s have quite gotten there yet. Is really showing up in a way for ourselves and for each other that says enough of this performative crap, enough of all of the things. Let's just be really truthful and honest, and then let's figure out how to do this. Let's figure out how we can create this environment that could, I feel like sometimes pokes at our tendencies to be rageful, vengeful, and also very lethargic and non-involved and very disconnected. Because I feel
Mhm.
like I'm the opposite way. Like so many women get super ragey. I feel like I was ragey a lot when I was younger. And now there's moments, Tracy, where I'm just like, what is this all for?
Well, you're kinda like, "I don't care." It's like, you know, if somebody doesn't like me, I don't care.
Yeah,
Single and you go on a date and he doesn't like you, I'm like, okay." You know?
right? Or
I mean,
just,
we start decentering other people, and it's like,
yeah,
"I'm gonna take care of myself. I'm gonna figure out what I like. I'm going to
yes,
take care of my body. I'm
yes,
going to advocate for myself and
yes,
and other women and girls."
yes,
You know what I mean? I feel like we're in a time right now where there's just a lot of, with the taste stripping of DEI and, so much just demonizing of, taking
yeah.
the women, it's just it's that's a whole nother conversation. But so this is not just for Midlife Medicine Symposium is not just if you're feeling bad, if you're not feeling it's for anybody who wants to live a really full and vital life. Peptides, anybody can be taking peptides. There's like 7,000 different peptides in our bodies, and you can take, synthetically made ones that are made by a compounding pharmacy and make you feel better. The FDA hasn't approved that either, and that's
Yeah.
because there's not, money for big pharma to be made. So we have a doctor who's speaking on that. And also, you touched upon it. A huge part of aging well is having community and a social life and friends
Mm.
and those people who do not age well, they're more likely to get disease or more likely to get dementia, and that's because they don't have anything that's stimulating them, right?
Yeah.
So we have not gathered
Connecting that to another soul.
we haven't gathered. I mean, I don't know who's still doing women's events in the greater Seattle area post-COVID. I mean, I know the F-bomb might still be doing something, but maybe every few months. I mean, there was
Mhm.
Illuminating a Women, there was me doing Chick Chat, there was Eat Women,
Mhm.
there was a bunch.
Yeah.
We haven't really gathered.
Yeah. Actually, as a matter of fact, I have not done a anything like that since COVID until recently. I went to Liz's TEDx salon. I think you know her, right?
What's Liz's last name? Can take that part out.
Yeah.
Was it TEDx Women? There is a TEDx Women.
And I felt like it was pulling teeth to get me to go because I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to drive there. And then when I got there, it was really nice because you forget what that's like to be in the arena
Yeah.
of other women. And the last one I went to was much younger women, and it felt more depleting because it's kind of like, gosh, I wish I could complain about having that kind of energy going on. And that's not the case. I agree with you, but also in the same breath. I don't know if this has been your experience. So I started, as you know, I started seeing a forgiveness coach about 2.5 years ago that really dug deep into the soul recesses of my life. And I started recognizing um, where where I have experienced a lot of my pain and betrayal has been in women friendships. And so picking that back up for social environments, it's really more intentional for me now. Like, when you reached out and was like, I would never not say yes to you because I feel like even if we're on the opposite sides of spectrums for whatever reasons for things, that's not my commitment to what I realize my commitment to relationships are women who are also on the growth spurt
Mm,
because where I'm seeing a lot of my challenges of like, why don't I want to connect with this friend anymore? Or why don't I? And it's a lot of it is we're all evolving and growing into the versions of ourselves. And also, I don't want to have to explain that I don't want to go outside. You know what I'm saying? Like every time you come to Seattle, you're like, hey girl, let's get
Oh,
to
I know.
I so badly just want to say I want to see you and I love you so much.
Yeah,
Like
right. No, I know, and I get it. I mean, I never do I very rarely do my hair. Like, seriously.
and that's the part I love. I feel like I'm one of those women that there was this one, oh gosh, I can't even remember the movie, but a daughter and a mom who just lived in their house, but they dressed up fabulously every single. That's me. I want to dress up fabulous, but I'm just going to stay in my house. I'm not going anywhere. I
They were a little mentally disturbed, but
Yes,
very interesting. Yeah,
but I get that now. I get
yeah,
like the whole,
yeah.
okay, I'm
Oh,
gonna get
yeah.
up, I'm gonna get dressed,
But
I'm gonna do all the things. I'm gonna put on all my.
yeah, you look fabulous. Yeah,
But going somewhere, that's
I
a whole.
I'll come see you. I'll come see you. But yeah, I know. I know what you mean.
I feel we have to have with each other of like, I'm not trying to not be with you, and or
Yeah.
that we don't have to constantly apologize to each other for shifting who we've been to who we're becoming because these changes are happening. Um, yeah, the fatigue thing,
I
it's
know.
for real.
I think you're gonna feel better when you get on testosterone. Me too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I'm hoping. No, my gyno won't do it. So, I called another because it has to be I want it to be covered by insurance as much as possible. So, FYI, the testosterone itself will not be covered by insurance
Oh,
because it's not FDA approved. But it's like maybe 20-ish dollars a month, $30 for a tube. So don't let anybody charge you like $200 a month for
okay. Yeah.
no. But you do need to find somebody to prescribe it
Well,
because it
I have a friend, Stephanie, who has been a huge advocate for all of the things to such a degree that I think she's closing down. She had a spa situation up in Stanwood, really up north. Anyhow, she wants to start talking about this because testosterone has helped her a ton. And
Mhm.
she tells her story where it wasn't even like, "Oh, I'm feeling tired." Her symptoms were she really honestly felt like everybody hated her. And she was like, "What is happening here?" Like, I just this very catastrophic, emotional, deep space. And then, you go to the doctor, and after many times, she finds one that checks her hormones, and boom, there it is. There's the answer. So I'm just saying that thank you so much for reaching out and making sure we have this conversation. And thank you for taking your amazing natural skills of gathering humans and creating something for us to fully. I hope this isn't the only one that you have. I hope that we have many more of these, like, I would love to go to one of your, oh, let's pellet inject ourselves day. I don't know. I'm
Oh,
just yes.
right, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So maybe this will grow into a whole midlife series of events for women, like when I did
Yeah. I mean,
it's
and if
funny.
anybody should be doing it, it's you
Yeah.
because you have such a way of making sure all women know what's happening and where we're going. And you just have that is your superpower is you can gather humans for us to want to be a part of. And I just feel like, yeah, this is a thing because I'm needing some so the peptide thing I got is through a woman named Laura Marquez. I just interviewed her. My
Okay.
do you know her? She's
Laura, how do you spell her last name?
Marquez. I'll send you her info. Look at
Yes.
us talking it all. We're letting everybody on notice that
Well, this is what we
giving each
wanna
other
know, and this
information.
is what women do is we share
Yeah.
what's working or what's not working.
She her gave me the lowdown on all of it and the kinds that she gets is all natural, plant-based, and I just started taking it.
What are you taking? Are you taking, like, injections or what are you
No, it's I have a pill form and a powder form.
do you know what peptide you're taking?
She told me, but I cannot
So, for instance, I wanna take one that's called BPC one.
wait, I think oh,
That one you
I didn't
can
write
take
it down.
orally. It if you take it orally, it helps more with your GI tract versus if you inject it, which is what I wanna do, it's more for joints and, that kinda thing, and because of the hip replacement surgery and because of osteopenia, I that's what I wanna do.
Mm.
But then I wanna stack it with something called TB 500 because they work synergetically together. And
Well, I'm
I
gonna to up because
yeah,
she is very well versed in it. And what she did for a living for many, many years is she was a professional bodybuilder and then she had kids in her fees through IVF. Is that what?
IVF.
And so that's why she's a huge advocate for peptides is because later in life and the whole thing and she explained it like how a doctor would explain it. So meaning I didn't catch any of it other than it's something
Yeah.
I should take.
Yeah, and there are all these long names, and I'll be listening
Yeah.
to a podcast, and I'll be like, "Take slama blah, 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 blah," and I'm like, "What is that?
Yes.
What are you talking about? I wanna feel better." Yeah, there's just so much and that's what I love it, like, there's so much there one of this well, 3 of the speakers are doctors from the Longevity Medical Clinic, which is on the East
Mm.
Side, and they're going to be talking about just, hormones or lack thereof effect on long-term aging and disease. And that's what I was gonna say. One last thing to kind of put in people's minds is that I was listening to a podcast this morning, actually, and she's like, and this doctor said there's actually no post-menopausal. Peri, like that's before menopause, or you're in menopause because menopause is when you stop having your period for 12 months or more. So we're all
Oh,
menopause women.
yeah. Interesting.
And I was like,
Yeah.
use the term postmenopausal. When do you, what marks menopause?
Right. Right.
You just stop having your period. So you stop having period until the day you die once you stop having your period.
Right.
So that was very
Yeah.
interesting. And I think if, for instance, if we're feeling good and we're not fatigued like you and and I have my friends who are going and doing really good at the gym, they don't feel bad. So they don't even think about looking at their hormones or what lack of estrogen, for instance, is doing to their brain, to their bones, to their
Yes.
muscles, you know,
You
to
know,
their
was talking to my the one of the doctor, the multifunctional medicine doctors that I interviewed, I was telling her in my early I was diagnosed with hyperthyroidism, and
yeah.
their recommendation to me was either take this pill for the rest of my life that'll screw up all kinds of other parts of my body or remove it. And she was like shaking her head and almost in tears because she's like, that is a hormone thing. 100%. And so I feel really good. I was raised by a pharmacist, which was very interesting because she was so against medicine, unnatural medicine. So I just knew that whenever I was given advice to take something out or to take something that'll ruin other parts of my body, to not do that. There's a natural form of it. So I did move into and she was really like, good for you, because I was able to get all of my systems back in order without having to remove it or taking a pill forever. But when she said that is a sign, that right there is telling you what your body's already experiencing and changing. You were probably already in perimenopause. I'm like, yeah, I was 42 when it happened. Yeah. And now I get it. And so I was having hot flashes before. So I didn't know that that was
Yeah.
connected to it, because I assume hot flashes were in my 50s. Okay, now I'm in my 50s. I don't get hot flashes. I'm just so tired. Like I've carried a rock up a
Yeah.
giant hill for
Yeah.
24 hours straight. That's the kind of fatigue I'm talking about. It's not the, oh, I'm so tired. I just, no. Like I need a nap where I'm
Oh,
snoring.
I know. I love a good 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock PM nap, right?
It's always right at that time.
Yes, me too. I think it has to do with our biorhythms, right?
That's so
One
deep.
thing to think about. What is a hot flash? We just say, "Oh, we have hot flashes." Does that have to do with our brains and our hearts, or what? What is a
Mhm.
hot flash? What is
Yeah.
going on in our body?
We're heating it. Yeah.
We're like, "Oh, we have hot flashes." Well, I don't know. I think that might I mean, we could be like Joe Rogan and say, "What is a hot flash?"
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I think, yes. I mean, we could continue having this conversation,
yeah.
because now we are really like in the heat of things. But I want to say this. Also, the other thing on the other side of like our medical spaces is the external places, is beauty and how we feel about ourselves in that way. And I'm so happy to see, like, there's this woman named Shop with Caroline, where she just started doing a bunch of like by the pool conversations at 50 years old of like, let's not forget ourselves and let's love it. She got picked up by, so she started a podcast called Coming in Hot. She's the cutest little thing. And People magazine did an article on her of like, who knew that the popularity of 50-year-old. Thank you so much for being with me on today's journey. If you felt something resonate, if you saw yourself in this conversation, please take a moment to subscribe. Share it with a friend who needs this space and leave a review. It helps others find us, and it's a small way you can be a part of this powerful movement. Ladies, this isn't just a podcast. It's a community, a revolution, a place where midlife women come together to embrace our hard-earned wisdom and vibrant truth. So thank you for being part of this. Remember, it's time. It's time to step into our truth. No more holding back. Midlife is ours to own, and it's only getting started. So, until next time, take a breath, honor your journey, and live with audacity, courage, and joy. This is our time, our truth, unraveled, revealed, and celebrated.